Hey everybody, Brittany Harlow, VNN, Director, Lead Journalist. Thank you so much for joining another episode of VNN Live. We appreciate everyone in our verified news community. I'm so excited. Typically, I'm always like nervous to do these live streams because I'm not quite used to doing them yet. But today I'm like the first time where I've been like more excited than nervous. And so that's a huge win. We have a lot of great things to talk about. I'm going to keep it pretty, short, quick, um, nice and simple update about what we've had going on this week and some really cool things that we have in the works. Um, First of all, I always want to kick these off after my thank you with letting you know that I would love to hear from you. We keep these to about 20 to 25 minutes or so, just because I'm sitting here talking to myself a lot. But the goal is to have a lot of engagement. I want to get emails from you. I want your feedback about what we're talking about, the stories that I told you about. I want to answer your questions, and so it's really hard to put yourself out there, as I know, from doing it personally every week and just all the time throughout my whole life. So I really know that it's scary, but it definitely helps build the verified news community. It helps make better news for you. Um, I know you got a lot of stuff going on in your life, but news to me is very important. News and information, and I'm here to serve you and help you and, help each other. And so sound off. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear about. You can do that through email, as I said, bharlow@verifiednews.network. I'm monitoring these um, comments that we're getting on YouTube. So feel free, but even if you're watching this after, drop me a comment and I'll check it out and respond. I'm all about engagement. We're experimenting with a lot of different um, ways to engage with people and get feedback. And so please just, give me a shout. If you're just joining us for the first time, we are an independent news network that focuses really on empowering women, minorities, and entrepreneurs through news media. And so that really is a huge umbrella of news, I know, but that is really our focus to be more inclusive. And I wanted to just kind of give you an introduction to our app here. I was interacting with it before I hopped in to the live stream. What you're going to hear me say throughout, which is so cool, and what I love about collaboration, is that I actually started this live stream through YouTube using OBS software after I filmed a reality TV show over the summer. And I met some guys from a company called StreamShirt. And I had heard about OBS and I was using a different platform. And they were like, man, you really need to get back on there if you are interested in streaming. It's the best. And so they really kind of walked me through live streaming, how it can be a great way to engage with your audience and connect with people, and then this amazing software. So I got to give it up to StreamShirt. They are a great couple of guys that are doing really cool things with branding for streamers. I'm still waiting. If you guys are watching this, to get featured in one of your months, because that's a really cool thing that they do. I think I pretty much have to have another few months or so of building up my audience, maybe. But I'm really starting to have a lot of fun with this, and it's really gotten to be something that I'm looking forward to, sharing my news and the news about our network that we're building together through this platform. And I have another beta Blockster that I'm going to give a shout out to. And so that is essentially the group that I am in, because I'm a news entrepreneur. And as I mentioned, I filmed this show earlier this summer called The Blocks. And it is basic. I mean, I don't want to give too much away about it, but a bunch of entrepreneurs came together, competed against each other. It was really wild. I think that I'm fully recovered and just now reaping the benefits of what a great experience that was. Um, but you'll probably hear me talk about some of those entrepreneurs because those were just great connections that we made that summer. It was this year. I'm like talking about it, was so long ago. Um, but anyway, that is kind of the how our live stream came to be, and I love it. And as I said, I'm really excited to talk about what I got to talk about tonight. Obviously, this whole theme was radical news, and I mean, we are revolutionary the way that we have built this social news media app to better serve people. But what I'm going to talk about in a little bit is really cool, really next level. And it just involves, as I said, me putting myself out there for you. Because that's kind of my job as a journalist, is that I have to go around to people telling people I don't know a lot of stuff. I don't know this. Can you explain this to me? I kind of just go around and find different experts to talk about that can educate me so that I can really simplify a lot of the times really complex things and pass it along to everyone else. Because as I said, you have a busy life. You don't have time to sit down and like break down all of this information and find these experts. Like that's my job. That's how I make a living. And so it's really interesting how this is going to kind of evolve. I wanted to take a moment to, as you can see, the first story up there, Promised Land. It's a recap of stories um, that are being produced in this collaborative that I'm a part of called the Oklahoma Media Center. Our network is based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so that's where I'm at. And I'm a member of our network is a member of a collaborative, so we tell stories in this space, and it's a great recap. I like to really highlight the more constructive, positive stories of this Promised Land series that we're working on. I really encourage you to check it out. It's a very important, all based around this very important Supreme Court ruling. And there is a few other stories that we had posted this week. One of them, of course, every Monday we post a Cannabis Weekly story. And if you're signed up to get our emails, you will have heard more than normal probably about Cannabis Weekly. They are another Beta Blocks competitor that was there this summer that I met, another connection that I had made. And I just really love, what they're about, education and information. And so I'm really glad that we could make that partnership there. And they have been not only sponsoring this Cannabis Weekly series, which is really cool, facts, information, educating people about canna and everything kind of in that industry, particularly in the medical marijuana space where they're focused. But their stories also, um, uh, they fund additional local stories through this sponsorship. And so not only are they, being a great sponsor for all of this high quality expert content that you see on our network every week, but they're also funding local news, like our biggest local news sponsor that we've ever had. And it's just really inspiring to see the stories that they're telling through their work with us. And so if you ever click on one of their stories specifically, you'll see more about our partnership. I really encourage you to kind of explore this other Beta Blocks family member that we have. And again, as I said, you will see them a lot on our network because we're just so happy for that partnership that we have with them. And like I said, meeting people that were with that company, you'll see them once you see the show when it airs next year. But really great people there. And I don't want to give too much away. Again, sorry to be so secretive. It's not really in my nature as a journalist to be secretive. I'm very usually open, but want to keep a lot of surprises for the show because it was really an experience to film, and I don't want to give anything away. But yeah, you'll see here that they are featured there as our sponsor for our latest news. And so if you want any more information, you can just go visit our platform. It's housed at app.verifiednews.network. But another story that we had done this week. It's a national story, and it's from our um, Alabama reporter, Jasmine Washington. So, as I mentioned, we're in Oklahoma, but we have reporters in a total of 6 states right now, and that's going to be growing pretty soon. We're opening the umbrella to other independent journalists and other kinds of affiliates, but that is a topic for another night. But we, unless you've been living under a rock, you heard what previously named Facebook company is doing. And so we've reported on old Facebook, I guess. It's so weird they're called Meta now. They had this big announcement last month that they're no longer called Facebook, the Facebook company. They're now called Meta. And a lot of people are like, oh, wow, that's, convenient because, they're obviously getting a lot of flack from the promoting negative emotions over positive ones and kind of driving divisiveness and other issues. And we kind of reported on that. And we, in the past, have reported on Instagram for kids because that, was a big deal that once it found out that Meta now, I guess, is building an Instagram for kids under 13. A lot of people had a problem with that, privacy and rule breaking and that kind of thing. But so we've been kind of reporting in this space a little bit because it's important because that's the whole reason why our company, that's the whole platform of our company is responsible media. And so that's why we built a social news media app. And it's basically so we could have trusted news and information, lots of transparency, built from the ground up, kind of with those safeguards in place that like Facebook or Meta and Twitter never had. And so now they're kind of playing catch up and stuff, but to try to like moderate their content and combat misinformation and disinformation. And we actually released a story last week that I'm still building the video for because it's just such an important issue is how to combat misinformation and disinformation. Anyway, this story, when you want to rule the metaverse, but people think you're from the negaverse, and even though it's Jasmine's story, I came up with that headline, and I don't know really if anyone gets it unless you are a super Sailor Moon fan, and I don't know where else like the negaverse exists, but it seemed appropriate because Meta announced last month that they were focusing on the metaverse and building their new platform and being this kind of, I don't want to say the gatekeeper because the whole point is that it's like decentralized and there's a lot of different platforms on for the metaverse that are already in existence. And I think that Facebook, has been dabbling in that space for a while, but they're just kind of, announced it just right after this whistleblower made them look really bad. Anyway, so when I first heard this, I was like, wow, that's, it's interesting. I'm interested in the metaverse and what that means for the future. It seems really far off, and especially like as a journalist, I don't really like to share my opinion about certain things, but I have a lot of research that I do, and that's kind of where I get, that's where I get my say so. Like, this is what people say, this is, what critics say, this is what Facebook is saying. And I don't really want to come out and say Meta should not be the ruler of the metaverse. But obviously, there's some good questions there as far as privacy and would people want a company that still is not really, fully transparent, that has a history of inciting negative emotions in people to be, ruler of this digital world. So that was like my first real research that I did into the metaverse and what it all means and kind of how that is going to exist. And kind of full disclosure, um, I am not a techie person. I'm a writer. I'm not a math person. I tried coding. I don't get it. I don't get it. I could never code. Thankfully, I'm married to a coder, so I don't have to really worry about that too much. Um, but I still want to understand it. And I think that there's a lot of people too that aren't necessarily techie or coders who want to understand this, who want to understand what's happening. And so it was, I'm going to just do my third Beta Blocks name drop here with Throw Lights out of California. And I don't want to like give him like a name shout out because I hadn't really talked to him about using his real name, but will say he's Wild Rogue on Discord. I feel like I'm like comfortable enough to say that without, violating like his privacy. I also asked him that I wanted like cuz we had a conversation that was so educational and I loved it. And I'll tell you more about that another time, but um I'm actually going to be interviewing him. Hopefully, he committed informally for an interview next month, essentially about the metaverse and what it all means. And I really want that to be a space that verified news and you, our verified news community, is a part of. I don't want it to be for me, like when I see something that's like, oh wow, that's so complex, it's so complicated. Um, I can't understand it. My brain doesn't work that way. But then you hear industry experts say, we're at the cusp of what the future is going to be like. This is going to be a huge part of people's lives 20, 30, 50 years from now. Just like the way like cell phones and the internet changed everything. It's kind of like considered and talked about as one of those next coming kind of huge deals that'll change everything. And so for a while, VNN, Verified News, we've been exploring like where we're going to live, like where we're going to find our success. We're a grassroots independent news organization that depends on the hard work of journalists that want to change the industry, and also people who are sick of traditional news and traditional social media with the lack of trust, the motives behind decision making and news and media products. And so we're really just wanting to be a voice of the people and offering that through sources of news and information. But we're still, we're a relatively new company. We've been doing this for about 3 years, going 3.5 years almost ish, in our 4th year right now. It's been a long time. And we're still kind of looking for our forever home, I guess you could say. And so we're still like throwing, darts at the wall and seeing what hits. And I feel like this is a really cool concept that I've thought it over. And one of the things that our fearless leader in Beta Blocks always talks about is like chasing shiny objects. And so I have been known to kind of stray off the main goal of our company, which is to, grow our audience, tell great stories, really connect with people. And so I've honestly thought like, is this a shiny object? Is the metaverse just a shiny object that I'm just like distracted by? And after a while, I'm like, no, I think that it's really cool. I think it's really interesting. I don't think that there's a lot of just general information in this space that's like mainstream. And so I really wanted to be that. I really wanted to simplify it for people. I really wanted to make it open for everyone that might not be a tech person or a coder person or someone that is in the crypto space, which is, related because this is all done through the blockchain, which even for me, I started, I don't know, investing in cryptocurrency probably 4 or 5 years ago, and just for fun, just because it was really interesting to me. I haven't made like a whole bunch of money. I put some money into it, and now that money has grown, but it's not like I'm rich off of it or anything. So it even for me, that's someone that's been kind of working in that area for 4 or 5 months. I had to repeatedly try to understand what the blockchain even was. And now I'm comfortable. I understand it. But like explaining it to someone else, we'll lean on experts. And that's why another reason why we're going to be talking with Throw Lights, hopefully next month. But as our verified news community, I did want to let you know that that's something that we're going to be leaning into. And we're going to be going into that space and educating people and informing people and growing our community there, and seeing if that is something that people appreciate. And I'm excited about it. I'm not going to say that obviously, the metaverse is going to take over all of our coverage, because we're still going to be doing those stories that matter very much in the real world. But I'm saying that I think it would be super cool in the future if we had real world, and I'm going to try to think of another way to say real world, physical world journalists, but also metaverse journalists. And I think that's a really cool concept. I'm really excited about it. I have the vision of the future. And I'm not going to say that, you're going to be in the metaverse soon, flipping open a copy of VNN and having your avatar read it. But like, maybe my kids will be running this company one day and they will be doing that. Like, that will be their company. But I thought it was super cool, and I wanted to invite you to be a part of it, because we're growing this together. And this is like the coolest part about it, I think, is that you can ask me questions, things that you don't know. Or you could say, hey, that article was still too complex. Like, I don't understand this concept. Or I really want to know how this is going to work. Or how do I get involved? Like, even for me, I'm not like super techie. I know my way around a computer, and it still, for me, like took, I would say, 5 or 10 minutes of someone walking me through it to really like get hooked in to the third web, as it's called. So definitely join us, and I have a couple different ways that you can do that, especially ha, see, already. I'm correcting myself. I said third web, but that's just a company that I was looking at earlier. It's actually Web3 is what it's called, this 3D internet. But again, I'm just learning, and I am excited about this opportunity to be learning like right in front of you, because that is the best way, I feel, because I can connect to all these experts, and I can like really lean into where our audience wants us to lean into. And, this journey is just so new for everyone, because the technology is developing as we're talking about it. And these things are being made possible as we're reporting on it. And I guess that is like, as much as you'll see me nerd out, is where we have information and history that's being made like as we're talking about it, like really big history. So that is my big deal about that. And I did want to say that I want to say that we had, oh man, if you haven't seen on Facebook and Twitter and my personal journalist page, Brittany Harlow, we created our own server on Discord. So it's called Verified News Community, and I think you should definitely be a part of it. So even if you're just ready to get your toes wet, go ahead and hop in there. And if it's okay if you're not ready yet, if you want some more information, but I definitely encourage you to check out our intro story of us talking about the metaverse, and for Meta in particular. We have another great story, as I said, that we had posted last week about misinformation and disinformation, and that's actually how it affects tribal sovereignty. But we do have more stories coming out in this space. I don't want to talk about it too much, because I've kind of already gone over my time at 20 minutes is kind of what I was aiming for, but 20 to 30 minutes. So we're on the other end of that. I still feel good about it. Um, but we have some really great news coming out very soon, like before the end of the month soon, probably Monday or Tuesday. We're going to announce it in our video series, but I'll tell you about it right now because you're watching this. And so you get this exclusive info that no one else is seeing. I haven't even written the story about it. I did create the webpage for it, but it's all going to kind of play into this engagement and this kind of digital space, as far as a cool little game that we are incorporating on VNN called Code Catchers. So yeah, I haven't told that to anybody yet. So you're the first person to hear that right now. We're going to be putting a story about it probably Monday or Tuesday, definitely before December, because that's when the game is rolling out. But it's going to be a really cool opportunity for you, again, to kind of dip your toes in. You don't have to go fully into the third internet. You can stay in 2D and the regular internet, but if you want to go and jump in, we're going to just make it really easy for you to wade in. So I'm really excited to share that news with you. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of VNN Live. We're growing our community, and we're really, I mean, even especially with Thanksgiving tomorrow, we are so thankful. And I know it's so cliche because everyone is sending you emails right now telling you how thankful they are for you. And, you know, I hope they all mean it, but we certainly mean it when we say that we're so thankful for you that have stuck with us. You know, as we've been building this verified news community, all of our verified newsies and our verified news leaders that are contributing and supporting us in different ways, or even if this is the first time you've ever come in contact with us, like please hang out and stay for a while and see where we're going and be a part of our journey, because we just want to immerse you and join together for news information in a way that we never have before. And we want to be what you want us to be. And the only way that we can do that is if you reach out to us, as I said, through email. You know, find us on all the different channels. And we have a couple other channels that I'll mention while I'm here. These are some other spaces that we've been living in on Substack. That's how we send out our free email newsletters. And you can upgrade to a premium account to get the behind the scenes, more exclusive info. I am going to be talking a lot about the metaverse and our digital projects and what we're doing in that Substack coming soon, because that's not info that I want everybody to know right now. That is like things that are happening with our company as they're being decided, and ideas and in the works things, and kind of explainers and what we have going on. So I'm really excited to kind of take our Substack that way, our premium Substack that way. But we have a free one that you can sign up to if you're not subscribed already. We also have a Patreon, which we do a little thing different. And that is kind of on a personal level, really connecting you with our journalism at its heart and what drives us, and, you know, kind of really pulling back the curtain on us as human beings, because I think it's really hard for people to, especially now when news a lot is not very trusted, and, you know, you have the ulterior motives, like really understanding why someone is a journalist, why they continue to do that, where that heart comes from, where that effort comes from. And that's something I do through the Journalist Diaries, which I've done 2 episodes of. I'm really trying to do them at least at least once a month. That's what I'll commit to. I'm not going to lie. If you're listening to me, I'm sucking on a cough drop right now. I have a lot of kids, so I'm always sick now. And so this is the best I've sounded in a long time. But thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday, Verified News Community. I hope that you have a great holiday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Come back again soon. Stay really plugged into us in December, because it's, you know, almost the new year, and that is crazy. But